everybody, this is Kay, and today I am bringing to you a tutorial. I put up a video for this type of mini album not too long ago, or maybe it was a long time ago, I actually don't remember, but I call it the Trifold mini album, and it's a very simple mini album, and it measures 9.25 by 3.25. And you open it this way, sort of like an accordion type of mini album. And you can put small, like 3x3 photos in these spaces right here. And you could put photos both in the front and in the back, as you can see there. And in the back, what I did was I made a little pocket, so you can put a little journaling or some thoughts or sentiments or whatever you want to put in there. And here I put a little embellishment from the paper collection. So it's a really cute and quick mini album. And what I like about it is that you can store it closed. Oops. Looks like the ribbon got tangled up in here. There we go. You can store it closed like this. Right, so you just wrap it around and you can just tie it and leave it like that. Or you can actually display it. You can actually put it on display like that on your shelf or on your desk or anywhere you would like to display it. So I had a link to the tutorial that I followed to make this mini album. This was not my original idea. I found it on a French blog, and thanks to those 3 years of French I took in college, I was able to follow it and make this mini album. But recently it has come to my attention that the link no longer works that I provided on the video. So I had a couple of people reach out to me and tell me, hey, the link isn't working, and can you please provide your own tutorial so that we can make this little mini album. So this is what I'm doing. This is my way of making this mini album, which pretty much follows the original tutorial. I tweaked it here and there, but it's pretty much the same process. So let's get started. For the base of the mini, you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard. I used medium weight chipboard. You do not have to. You can also use lightweight chipboard for this project. Each piece of chipboard should measure 3.25 inches by 9.25 inches. So once again, you'll need 2 pieces of chipboard, each measuring 3.25 inches by 9.25 inches. For the base of the mini, and this one's already done, but I'm going to walk you through it. But for the base, you're going to need 1 piece of cardstock measuring 9 inches by 12 inches. And when you trim this at the 9-inch mark, you're going to end up with this little strip of piece of paper left over. Keep it, because you're going to end up using it later on. Okay. So once you have your 9 by 12 inch piece of cardstock, we're going to score. That's the first step. So take out your scoreboard. And on the 12-inch side, you're going to score at 3 inches, 6 inches, and 9 inches, all the way down. So again, on the 12-inch side, you're going to score at 3 inches, 6 inches, and 9 inches. And that's it. That's all the scoring you have to do. Then comes the cut part. And to me, this is pretty much what I consider to be the hardest part of the project. It's a little tricky because if you notice on both sides, you're cutting into or past the score lines. So you're cutting halfway through the squares. So what you want to end up with in the end, you're going to end up with a bunch of 3x3 inch squares. That's what you're ending up with here, all the way down. But in the centerpiece, you have to actually cut into one of the 3x3 inches halfway through. So you have to cut into on that side and on this side. So the way I go about doing it, this is the easiest way I found of doing it, is on a cutting board, you're going to put your piece of paper, your cardstock, at the 3-inch mark, And then most cutters, or at least all the ones that I've owned, at least the Fiskars ones, and I'm pretty sure all the other ones do, have a ruler on the side here, or at least on the cutting mechanism part of it. So what I do is I put it at 3 this way, and then on this ruler, I put it at 1.5, which is the middle of 3 inches. So at 1.5, I cut all the way down to 10.5. And I'm a little bit out of frame there. There you go. Gonna squeeze everything in there. So again, put your cardstock at 3 inches. And then based on this ruler going down, start trimming at 1.5 inches and go all the way down to 10.5 inches. Then you're going to end up doing the same thing on the other side. Once you're done cutting there, take it out, flip it, and put it back in again. So at the 3-inch mark, start cutting at 1.5 all the way down to 10.5. And in the end, what you should get is, and if you want to try it differently, if this is, you find this piece a little bit too difficult, you're basically cutting at the 3-inch mark and at the 6-inch mark. Those are the 2 cut marks you're making all the way down. But you have to leave 1.5 inches on both sides. Those are your measurements. So once you're done cutting that, your base is pretty much ready. That's all you have to do. The next step is folding. And folding can be a little tricky too because basically, I guess the best way for me to explain it is the center piece, it's a Mountain Valley fold for both, the top piece, middle piece, and bottom piece. It's all Mountain Valley folds. But the best way that I can explain it is that the center is folded in the opposite direction as the top and the bottom. That's the best way that I can explain it. So the way I start is I take this piece, the first score line, I pick it up from here, and I put the scored piece it almost should touch the edge of your cardstock, if not touch it completely, which is fine. It could be flush or it might not. Mine is it's a hair off, but that's okay. Okay, so from the 2 pieces where I cut, you make your own score line right here. So you pick it up, and this scored line should just touch the other edge, and you fold that way, and then you can start burnishing. Okay, so since this went up, the next one will go down and then up again, and on the other side you do the same thing. It's usually easier for me to flip it over and do it this way. Grab it up and have this score line almost flush or flush to the edge of your cardstock over here, and then you burnish. Each score line you're going to burnish. Okay, so it'll be this way, the center, and then since these 2 are going to be folded the opposite direction of this one, well then you'll grab both ends, and on the first score line you're going to fold down and burnish, and then the second one up and burnish, and finally down, or you can flip it if it makes your life easier. It makes my life easier if I flip it. And we're doing down again. And burnish. And that's it. So as you can see, now that it's all fully done, this is from the top. That's what the view should look like from the top. And this is from the front. But as you could tell, it's kind of hard to see, but the middle part is folded in the opposite direction from the top and the bottom piece. So that's what you're looking for. So where this is a great example right here. So where the top and the bottom are pointing up, folded up, the centerpiece in the middle is folded down. Like that. It's folded down. And that's it. And then to really burnish it pretty good, you can just close it as so. That's what it should look like closed. And then just burnish. Burnish all your edges. Okay. And you're done. That's the base of your album. Now, remember when I said to keep this guy? The strip of paper that you had left over from the original cardstock when you cut this off. This guy, you're gonna leave the same width, which should be 3 inches, and it is. And you're gonna cut it by 4 inches. 3 strips of 4 inches. So 3 by 4, which I had already done over here. So you're gonna end up with 3 pieces of 3 by 4 inch. Measuring 3 by 4 inches. There you go. Now, what are you going to do with these? So, once you have your base, you're going to pretty much cover this piece, because when you glue it onto your covers, if you don't have anything underneath here, you're pretty much going to see your cover. You're going to see through it. So what you want to do is be able to patch this piece up like that, sort of, so that when you glue it down to your covers, you don't see this empty space here. It's going to be covered. So to do that, I'm going to fold this up. Let me see, make sure that the textures are both facing the same way, because this is actually textured black cardstock. I don't know if you could see that on the video, but it is. I'm going to glue that like that. So I'm just going to put a little glue around this edge, like here. Just enough to keep this in place, like so. And that's what I'm going to do that now. It doesn't have to be perfectly even all the way around. It just needs to cover up this hole right here. This half a hole. This section right here. It has to cover up. So let's glue this down real quick. And just go around the edges. Okay. Make sure my texture is facing out. And you're going to put that right there. Okay, got a little extra glue here. Let's wipe that out. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we flip it over. Still have a little glue here now. It doesn't matter because this piece is actually going to be glued down to your covers, but I'm just OCD that way, I guess. I don't like to see glue sticking out. And that's it. So now you're going to have something that looks like this. See that windows? These windows are covered now. It's kind of hard to see, but they are. And that's what this is going to look like. Okay. So, your base is pretty much done. And by the way, once you use those 2 pieces of cardstock on both sides, there should be 1 more left. Keep it, because we're even going to find use for this little one. So, we'll get back to this later on what we're going to use with that. So, alright, for the covers. Get my covers over here. You're going to need 2 pieces of designer cardstock, measuring 4¼ inches by 10¼ inches. So again, for the covers, you're going to need 2 pieces of designer cardstock, measuring 10¼ inches by 4¼ inches. And for this project, I am using the Wintery collection by Authentique. So let's see here. So as you can see, I already started one piece of paper. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to score on each side. And I've already done all the scoring, but I will walk you through it. So on each side, all the way around the sides, 1/2 inch. So you score all the way down 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, and another 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to both pieces of paper. And that's it. Okay. Then the next step is you're going to pretty much adhere your covers to your paper. And the good thing about scoring all the way around, your score lines are your guide. So all you have to do is glue the card stick right along the score lines, and that'll give you a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Okay, so this is going to be the front of my, this is the front that the side that I want to use for the outside of my book, of my mini album. So I'm going to glue this way. Now, you can use double-sided tape. I just prefer wet glue for this step because I just can't get it right the first time. Even though I have score lines all the way around and they're my guides, I am just perpetually lopsided. So the issue with double-sided tape is once you put it down, that's where it's staying. And 99% of the time, I guarantee that I will put it lopsided. So I prefer wet glue because then I can adjust it a little bit if I have to. So let's do this on both covers. The next thing you're going to do is, here I do use double-sided tape, so you can use double-sided tape for that. Okay, you're going to put double-sided tape all along the edges. Okay. Once you're done with that, we're going to miter our edges. So, to do that, I have this little doohickey. I really don't know what it's called, but I got this on Etsy, and it's actually used to miter book corners for when you wrap books. But I thought it would be a good tool for this kind of mitering, and it's been working pretty good for me so far. So, just need that and a cutter. And let's miter our edges. Next step, you're going to remove your double-sided tape and you're going to start folding this in slowly so that your paper doesn't crack. And here's a little tip. I actually got this from Ginger from my sister Scrapper, but she got it from somebody else. I don't recall who. But basically, if you moist your paper a little bit along the edges where you're gonna be folding, it helps prevent cracking. So this one I already did. This one I haven't done. So what I do is I grab a piece of paper towel and I just spritz it with a little bit of water. And that's it. It does not dripping wet. You don't want that. And along the edges of where you're going to fold, you just sort of put the wet paper towel all along this edges. And I think it softens the fibers of the paper. I'm not sure what it does, but so far, every time I've done this, I haven't cracked. So I tend to do this now all the time. Just a little bit there. Okay. And then you start slowly folding. And that's it. Your covers are wrapped. So this is what you're going to end up with. Okay. Now, the last step is to put your mini album all together. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your base and you're going to fold it in so that you have it like this. And then make sure you pick which one's going to be your front and your back cover. So I'm going to adhere it to my front cover first. So I'm just going to say that this is my front cover. They're both the same. Okay. And basically, you're going to put glue all along one side, and you're just going to place it right on top of there, making sure that you have an even edge all the way around. Okay. So as you can see, it's starting to come together. It's going to look like that. Okay, so let's do that first. For your back cover, this is where you're going to put your closure. So before you glue this down, you need your closure here. So I'm going to use a piece of ribbon, and all I do is measure the halfway mark of my back cover, and I glue it down right here. So okay, and finally, you're going to take this. So this is going to be the front of your mini album. Okay, I have the textured side of my cardstock. I want it facing this way, the front. So I want it to open this way. So basically, I have to adhere it this way, like so. And there you go. Your album is pretty much done. The next step is embellishing. That's the fun part. So here you go. So it opens this way. Here's the front. And here's the back. So to embellish, you can embellish this any way you want. This is up to you. The way I've been doing it is, measurements. So each square is 3 by 3. So I already have everything pre-cut. All my squares are cut out. Each one of my squares measures 2 7/8 of an inch by 2 7/8 of an inch. So it leaves a teeny tiny little border all the way around. So you put it like this. See that? So it doesn't exactly have that 1/8 of an inch around. It has a smaller border. And that's how I like it. But you can do it the usual way, where you can leave it 1/8 of an inch all the way around. It's really up to you. You make this your own, so you can embellish it any way you want. You can also make, you can cover all these little boxes up with designer paper, or you can just do every other box. It's really up to you how you want to design it. So the squares measure, again, 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 of an inch. And for these little pieces right here, because you have to cover this part, and on the back side, you'll see it forms another square, this piece and this piece. I cut out all these little strips. And these little strips measure 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. And these little strips all fit in these little sections right here. So if I want to make a full square, I would glue one there and then the other one here. And it'll look something like that. Or if I want them to be different, I can do that too. I could just make them that way. All right, it's really up to you how you want to embellish. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you before I wrap this up and embellish it my way. This piece of paper, remember this piece of paper that was left over from the original long strip of paper, of cardstock? This is what, again, this is optional, but this is what I do. This is what is used to make your pocket. Where's the other one? This one. This little pocket right here. So you can put a little sentiment, journaling, quote, dates, whatever you want to put in there. So to make this little pocket, I used this last piece of paper. So this should measure 3 by 4, and it does. The 4-inch side we want, that's what we want. But since we're making this into a pocket, we're going to cut this in half. So half of 3 is 1.5. So you're going to trim that at 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm back. Now I got this right. So the correct measurements for the pocket is 4 inches wide by 2 inches. 2 inches in height. All right, so don't cut it in half. You need to leave that extra 1/2 inch so that you can actually create your pocket. So I've already scored it, but basically all I did was score 1/2 inch all the way around except for the top. Wherever your pocket's going to go in, the top of your pocket, you don't have to score that piece. So you only score on the 2 sides and the bottom. 1/2 inch. All right. So we burnish that. And here's your pocket. So you're going to put glue here, here, and here on the lips. And then you're going to adhere that to whichever little piece on your, whichever little square on your mini you want your pocket. You don't necessarily have to put it where I use it. I mean, you could put it in the front if you want. You want a pocket here, or you want more than one pocket. You can do that too. So I like to put mine on this side right here. So when I glue this down, it's gonna fit right on that square. And then I could put a little something in here, a little tag. Okay. Also, if you want, you can do a little notch here. I used my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board to create the notch. You don't have to. Again, this is up to you. Or you can use a circle punch and create a little notch here too. Or you can leave it as is. Up to you. And that's how you create your pocket. All right. So I'm going to go finish this off, embellish it, put all the paperwork on it, and then I'll be back to show the final product. All right, so I'm back with the finished product, and here it is, fully embellished. So on the front covers on each corner, I put some little metal corners, silver ones, in the front and the back. And for embellishments, I put this fabric poinsettia. It's a little green mulberry flower. A couple of mini pine cones with some berries. A little foam snowflake glittered. and this cutout, sticker cutout from the Wintery collection that says Frosty Fun. Kept it pretty simple. So, and on the inside, there you go. Here are all the pages. I left it pretty simple. It pretty much followed the same, I kept the same format as this other one that I have. So I added two stickers from the paper collection on either side. Now, one tip I will give, this is not meant for dimensional embellishments. I sort of made that mistake with this one. As you could see, on one side it closes pretty well, but on the other side it's a little bulky, and that's because of these foam Christmas stickers that I put on either side. I mean, these stickers aren't that thick, but they're made out of foam, so they're not completely flat, and that was just enough to make the album pretty much lopsided, as you could see. It made the album lopsided, as you could see right there. It's thinner on one side and thicker on the other. I mean, it still works. You could still close it, and you could still definitely display it, but it's just an FYI. This album is meant more for flat embellishments. So that's what I did here. And on the back is the little pocket that we made with a little journaling card that I made from the leftover scraps. And this is a sentiment that I cut out and I matted with some black and red cardstock to make it pop more. And this is also from the collection. So there you have it. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. I tried my best explaining the part of how the base is made. It is a little difficult to explain because of all the mountain and valley folds. But the best way, again, that I could explain it was that the middle mountain and valley is in the opposite direction of the top and bottom pieces. Again, if anybody has any questions or needs clarification, you can always reach out to me. And you can find my contact info on my YouTube channel and on my blog. All right? So, thanks for watching, and have a good night.